What was the best accidental nudity you've seen in person? I took a cruise vacation with an excursion in Santorini, Greece. There is a bus that winds along the coast that takes you from the port of Fira to the picturesque vistas of Oia. The drive takes about 30 minutes on a lightly traveled road along the cliffs. We rounded a bend on the bus and a young woman was squatting along the side of the road urinating, butt exposed. She fully mooned half the bus as it passed. Her male companion, standing next to the parked car, grabbed his sides and crumpled over in laughter. I can completely imagine him saying 3 minutes earlier, "Just go outside. No one will see. We are in the middle of nowhere." Ah yes, this happened at my work. I work at a swimming pool and I was cleaning out the group changing rooms, so I hung up the boards which told people the changing room was unavailable because it was getting cleaned. When I was almost done with it, I took the garbage bag out of the bin and threw it away. When I came back with a new bag like not even half a minute after, there was this girl and they're already completely nude. After a second of comprehending what I was seeing, I turned around and closed the door and continued with some other work. In college, a girlfriend and I were going on a hiking trip. She was packing naked since she was in her apartment and we had changed in front of one another so many times that we were comfortable being naked around each other. No big deal. So when I was at the stoplight before her apartment, I texted her where I was so I should be there soon. I found a parking spot and walked up and knocked on her door. When I opened, she was naked, red and laughing. She was telling what took me so long and I was confused. So apparently about 2 minutes after I texted her, there was a knock on her door. Since I had just texted her, she assumed it was me and opened the door without thinking. It was two Mormons missionaries. Just a few months ago I was biking on my cyclocross bike on the road around OBX while I was there for a bachelor party. In weaving through neighborhoods, multi-use trails, etc., and I come along this sound-side trail with a light coating of sand. I usually just use this bike on gravel and asphalt, but I assume it will be okay on this spit of sand. It was not. I eat shit immediately and dust myself off. I can see the other end of the trail and decide to walk my bike instead of turning back. A few feet away I walk around some foliage and there is a professional-looking photo shoot going on with the long-legged model sporting nothing but a smile. I politely smiled, nodded, took some mental pictures, and walked on. It was a good ride. 17 and my girlfriend and I went on a date. We are gone about 1/2 hour and she forgot something at home, so we go back. We have been dating long enough. I get out and we walk into her house together. She lived in a split level, so when you walk in you either go up or down. I ended up in the lead and go up. Halfway up I just stop. Her mom and stepdad are doing the dirty, with mom doing a reverse cowgirl facing me. Our eyes locked for a second. My girlfriend pushes me to get me to move and walks past me and sees why I stopped. Her mom pulled a blanket from the sofa to cover up. My girlfriend is yelling at them. I just walked out. The picnic a week later was awkwardly uncomfortable. Better than the opposite. Trust me. At G/F's house, her mom and dad left to get groceries. We start doing the dirty on the basement couch. They also had a bi-level, and the garage was on the basement level. They came in, as I was in with my back to the garage door. I remember I had a blue condom on, and they made some comment jokingly about put our pants on. They were coming in, but it was too late. I had made it to a standing position, and her mom was like, "Oh, you actually needed to put pants back on." She then abruptly grabbed her dad and dragged him like a shocked dog across the room and up the stairs. For context, her mom knew we were active, and had my GF on the pill. I still rapped because I wanted to make sure. After getting dressed, I had to have a conversation with her dad while drinking a natural ice in a bedroom they were renovating. It was super awkward, but the threats were pretty mild, although I could tell he was trying his best to contain himself. We still dated for almost another year, and it got less awkward, but always had the joke about it, and they always waiting after knocking after that. Edit. For those curious, the threats were along the generic line of "you break your heart, I break your legs" type of thing. And yes, at that point we were pretty serious and did take precautions. And like I said, I saw him visibly restraining himself to have an actual conversation, rather than just blowing up. And in the end I was pretty committed to her, had a ring and everything. We were both late teens, early 20s, and hindsight, it wouldn't have lasted. Especially with all the other guys that she was sleeping with that I found out about later. Oh well, it was for the better in the end for me. Smile. My friend, M31, and co-worker flashed me, F26, at work. This was years ago. We were working together on the midnight shift at a factory, building a large part for an even larger machine. We were discussing our favorite bands and the ones we've seen in concert. Then we started talking about some of antics we've seen some of these entertainers do, like smashing guitars, crowd surfing, pulling fans on stage, etc. One performer neither of us saw live but heard about was Jim Morrison flashing the crowd. I thought Jim mooned the crowd. My friend decided to demonstrate how the flashing went down, so he hooked his thumbs into his waistband to mime releasing his junk ... except he caught his underwear too. Myself and a couple other co-workers got to see the live reenactment in the middle of the shop floor. Oops was all he could squawk out while shoving everything back in place. Those of us who did see were dying of laughter. He apologized profusely and avoided us the rest of the shift. Good times. Edit, punctuation and grammar. Reminds me of something that happened to me when I was doing a rehearsal for a contemporary dance show. There was a bit where I had to crouch down and then spring out into a plank position. Well, I was wearing a knee-length skirt with a stretchy waistband, and as I crouched down I stepped on the hem of it, and when I sprang out into the plank my skirt did not travel with me, and for added fun it pulled down my underwear as well. I dropped to my belly, quickly pulled up everything and then turned over to find the horrified face of one of the other dancers looking down at me. I changed my costume to a different skirt with a more secure waistband after that rehearsal. Sometimes, as a middle-aged man, the world feels too much like an ordinary place filled with the drudgery of repetitive tasks. I've done the same trip to the grocery store hundreds of times. I've loaded and unloaded the dishwasher thousands of times, moving dishes to and from the same spot in an endless loop. Clean, dirty, clean, dirty. I've walked or driven the same path to and from the office countless times. The muscle memory so fine-tuned from repetitions that I can do it on autopilot as my mind drifts or goes blank. But every now and then, I remember back to when I first saw a pair of female breasts, living in person, and I remember that there is magic in this world. When I was 14 I worked at an outdoor pool concession. One of the AHS girls there was with a toddler, probably babysitting. She was one of the older girls my buddies and I could only dream about. I was taking her money for her order when the kid she was with reached up to grab something and accidentally pulled her top down. There they were, the first and greatest pair of bare boobs I had ever seen. I locked onto them with laser focus, their shape and size etched into my brain. As she scrambled to cover herself, she had a scowl on her face, to which she said, "Did you get a good look?" I could feel my face flush with embarrassment. I was very popular for a few weeks over that story. Thanks Lisa, because of you. The summer of '86 was to the max. When I was 7, my family went on vacation with our neighbors. They had a bungalow right next to ours and I went over there to see my friend. He answered the door and told me to come in, and right as I walked in, his mother was just getting out of the shower. She walked out of the bathroom completely nude to go to her bedroom and I saw everything. I was only 7 so I didn't even know what it all was yet, but I knew it was all good stuff. She saw me, screamed at my friend and closed the door. My friend just started laughing, which was a nervous tick he did whenever he knew he was in trouble. 25 years later and I definitely have had a thing for older women most of my life, and this is probably why. Oh man, I had a kinda similar experience. My parents and some family and friends used to go to a vacation home on weekends from time to time. This time we were going to go with some of their friends from HS, I guess. So we are in this couple's home waiting for them to prepare for the trip. Since all the children are young, we are playing in the middle of the hallway upstairs. The thing is, the bathroom and their bedroom are across the hallway, so you have to cross it to go from one room to the other. So we The children are playing in the hallway when someone opens the bathroom door and says something in the lines of, "Don't look," or something like that. But since we are playing and not paying attention, what we do is look to find who and what they say. Turns out it was the wife, completely naked and wet, because she forgot the towel in the bedroom. What she was trying to do was to run from one room to the other, hoping nobody sees her, but when she told us, we had to look up. If she had run over us without a word, we wouldn't have noticed at all, but instead at least, saw everything. I saw her when she was giving a long step to pass over us, and I looked up in the exact moment she was all spread out. Posted this before, but it's a funny story about accidentally being naked in public. My wife and I went camping with our 2 kids in the Adirondacks 2 weeks ago. After 2 days of sweaty swimming in the lake, sleeping in the tent camping, we decided it was time to go to the campground shower facility. We were all pretty stinky. My wife takes our 4-year-old daughter with her into the girls' side, and I take our 2-year-old son. He's an adorable little chunky kid, and like most 2-year-olds, he finds most things funny. More on that later. The place had 25 stalls and the whole facility was empty. I identified a shower stall, put all of our shower crap in there for cleaning our respective undercarriages, and set to undressing the boy. He's naked and inspecting the water coming down from the shower head. I can see that he's interested in the cascading water, and I know from past experience that I have at least 10 seconds before he's distracted and moves on to the next thing. So I get undressed and turn around to enter the shower with him. He's gone. I step out of the stall, naked, and I don't see him. I look in the next stall, which is empty, and he's not there. Then I look up and he's running to the exit about 20 feet away. And here's where I made my mistake. I ran after him thinking I could get him. I do the best dad voice I can muster and command him to Oscar, stop. He's giggling and looking back, not even slowing down. And then he's out the door and I'm still 5 feet behind him. I had no choice but to follow him out into the parking lot in all my birthday-suited glory. There was no time to turn back and get a towel. It was a sunny afternoon. There was one car other than ours, and I will forever remember the look on that poor woman's face. She was sitting in the passenger seat, alone in the car. I was 10 feet away from her, a completely naked 39-year-old man, running after a smaller, cuter version of myself. She did the only thing she could. Pretend it wasn't happening. She was good too, at pretending. But we both know what she saw, and I'm sure she's telling her side of the story back at her campsite too. When I caught the little giggler, I couldn't help laughing out loud. I turned back to carry him inside, covering my private parts with his little white body. Doctor, I had to surrender my dignity for my son's safety. At 14 I lived with my brother, 24. And his then wife. Bro needed help working on a clunker boat someone sold him and had it set up just outside his bedroom window. Not entirely relevant, but makes the mix-up funnier. My brother and I have similar builds and features as siblings do, with one notable exception. I'm biracial and he's white. Sil didn't realize he had me out there with him, and since it was poorly lit, didn't notice the skin difference, so she pulls the blinds up while standing there naked as she knocks on the glass. We were both in for a surprise when I popped up. He comes walking around the corner to catch the end of what's happening and just falls down laughing. We had some awkward dinners and rides home since she was the one I was around most. And then like 3 weeks later it got even more awkward when they had to help me with a testicular issue. Not accidental per se, but I was not meant to be there to see it. So, I was on holiday in Oslo, and there is a park that is littered with statues of naked people. Different materials, all sculpted by the same artist, Gustav Vigeland. That bit of the park is accordingly named Vigelandsmuseet. The biggest group of sculptures is the monolith, which features an obelisk made of people, surrounded by stairs on all sides, and blocks topped with statues become the stairs in different segments. As I take in the sight and take my time to surround it, summer rain starts and most tourists run for cover. Not me. I got a raincoat with me. 2 rather attractive American tourists, both women, remain as well, along with some guy. They both pull down their tops and lift their skirts for a few pictures, probably to blend in with the statues. I liked it, and at the same time it was very weird. In high school, almost the end of the year, Teach gave us a free period. He told us we could sit where we like, but we need to keep the volume to an acceptable level. I was tired, so I laid on the floor between one of the rows of desks. While I am down there, a female classmate sat by me and started talking. At one point, our conversation involves something about which gender is better or something. I am not sure how we got there. She had a huge crush on me though, but I did not, although I should have. At one point she says, "Women are better because we can be horny and no would know." She then gets up, purposefully walks over me, letting me see right up her skirt, and exposing her vagina for my eyes only. Teenage me had to get off my back after that and tuck that sucker up the waistband. Speaking of rubber banding the all baloney for concealment, when I was in the army, my buddy told me a hilarious fucking story. He was in math class in high school, and his teacher was fine as hell. He used to daydream about her in class. One time, he's whiling away the hour, thinking about her flowers, and she called him up to solve an equation. He's got a raging hard-on, so he tucks the all chap into his waistband, and heads on up to the board, where he absolutely doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, because he's been busy thinking about going to the rodeo with his math teacher. He screws it up, then starts walking back to his seat, and all the friction starts getting to him. Long story short, he shot a load into his t-shirt, and it looked pretty gross. He was trying to clean it up, but now it looks even worse. He goes to leave, and she's like, "You, what's that on your shirt?" "You know what this motherfucker says." I sneezed. Ow. I was new at a job and needed to go ask my boss a question. She was being measured for a gown in the back room and I walked in. She was standing there in nothing but white panties while the tailor was measuring her. I wanted to play it cool, but averted my eyes quickly, and instead of asking a question I sounded like a bashful goofy impersonation. "Oh gosh." She just crossed her arms and waited, and I cleared my throat and asked where something up front was kept. Didn't bother covering anything, just answered my question, and I thanked her and left. I could hear them rolling laughing after I left. How embarrassing. It was my first job after leaving my very conservative small town as a young adult, and the moment I realized that in this area I'm more old-fashioned than most people. We normally made jokes and would flirt with each other, but casual nudity was very surprising. Speak of odd childhoods. In China, bathing was rare in old communist days. You basically need a coupon to bath at the communal shower once a week or so. Almost no homes had a private shower. Anyway, we were pre-elementary school kids, about to put a show up for our parents, pageant things. So the two teachers, ladies in late teens, mid-20s, felt we all need to look good, and thus a bath was in order. So our teachers stripped us down one by one, brought us to the shower room and gave us a shower and scrub down. Both teachers were in the nude as well. Our parents were very pleased to find a band of extra clean children when they came, and praised the teachers for taking the extra effort. And sadly, the 5-year-old me were concerned with getting soap bubble out of my eyes, then mentally recording this XD. In America it would be an epic lawsuit. When I was little, around 3/4, I was staying with this rich couple and their same-age daughter in their huge house in San Francisco with my parents, who have been friends with the wife since college. We were sitting around the dinner table when it went silent. Me, not fully aware of myself in the privacy of others, pondered to the table in a loud high-pitched voice, "Mummy, why is their daddy's willy so much bigger than my daddy's willy?" Fair to say my dad choked on his drink as the table erupted in laughter. Needless to say, I'd apparently seen my friend's dad taking a pee. Although I don't remember the event taking place, it always gets talked about every Christmas at family dinner. Sorry, Dad. I was maybe 14-15 years old. Our local community pool had a swim team competed with other neighborhoods. At our pool, the lockers room split for men's, women's. On the right was the men's, on the left was the women's. Well, we went to a competing neighborhood pool and it was opposite right, Left. I walked right into the woman's locker's room after a swim meet. Room was full of girls about my age and older, all naked or near naked. I froze at the sights. All the girls started screaming and I bolted. I got into a lot of trouble and tried to explain my mistake. Was kicked off the team that summer, but it was worth it.